Habla. All right, welcome to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I'm the host of the show. And today I'm joined by my spouse, Lori.
Hello. Sorry, I was reading what we're gonna talk about.
All right, and we're just gonna do a general check-in.
Sorry.
See how everything has been going. If you have tuned into the podcast before, you know that this show has interviewed some really amazing dog handling professionals in the local Boston, Massachusetts area. So you can check out some previous episodes if you are a dog lover or if you're a fellow dog handling professional, if you're interested in meeting some of our local community. But 2023 has brought a busy schedule for myself and a new dog that's in the fold, and pretty active with our existing dogs and just staying busy with making sure that we keep our clients as our number one priority. So this podcast, although I very much enjoy recording them, I haven't had too much time to hit the road and get people on the schedule. But if you're interested, hit me up. You can find us at FPB Talks on Instagram. You can also listen to the podcast right through my website, fitpetboston.com. We're on all the major platforms. I shouldn't say all of them. So Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, if you listen on any of those platforms. But if you're hearing me speak these words, you're already there. And if you are there, please like and subscribe to the show. It helps more people listen to the show and, for us to get our message out there. But, all right, Lori, what's been going on with you? You had a really big accomplishment with Buddha recently. Do you want to talk about that? Ooh, there's a firework.
There's a firework. Buddha got his 20 triple Qs for rally. Oh, this is the longest road. Long road. I was so excited. We had a few placements, 2, 3, 4. Scored in the 90s. I got some master's points, so I know that nobody knows what this means, but 20 triple Qs took forever. Yeah. Went through novice, intermediate, advanced excellent. Then what the hell came after that? And then masters. And I had to complete all those categories. I actually didn't have to do intermediate. I could have gone right to advanced, and now I know exactly what I would do if I went through this road again. I would probably just try to get my master's points as soon as I could. I didn't do that because I'm a one thing at a time type of gal. But anyway, the 20 triple Qs are done, and now I need to work on my master's points, so that's huge. That's exactly what I wanted to start the summer, and I only have 2 other competitions this summer. That's it. 3 runs. That's it. All masters. So I hope I do really good, and I'm hoping to pursue my CDX in September, so I have a plan. So me and Big Boo have a plan.
Yeah, so what's the CDX?
It's CD open. I don't know. It's like companion dog. What? I don't know.
So it's a little bit of a higher obedience title.
Yeah, it's higher than a CD, but you get to do jumps and you get to do the dumbbell, and I feel like that will give Buddha the push he needs to kind of get through it because, I think rally's getting kind of boring for him. I feel like a stage mom who like slaps makeup on her kid, puts a dress on, and then shoves them out into the stage, and they're like, "Come on, honey, I know you love this, but I'm living vicariously through him." And I'm like, "It's okay, it's just one more time." And "You're lying," and then I'm like, "I'll buy you ice cream after." I don't know. I'm excited to do the CDX.
Yeah, you guys have been working like crazy.
The dumbbell took me forever, folks. I don't care. Okay, it just took me forever. Yeah, I'm a late bloomer.
Yeah, when you teach behaviors, sometimes it takes forever.
Took forever. It went from me having no drive for the dumbbell to having excessive drive for the dumbbell to chewing the dumbbell. I have gone through every single thing with it. I refuse to teach anyone else how to do a dumbbell because it took me so long that I lost my confidence. I mean, every dog trainer knows. In the beginning when you're first starting out, you're like, wow, I really fucked that up and I don't know how to fix it. Like, we go through all these stages, and then other classes you're like, I am amazing. I'm amazing. You'll finish a class, the dog knows everything. The person is practically setting up an altar for you in the house. And then you have another class and you are questioning your entire life. You're questioning whether you're doing anything right. You sound like everybody else because you say, my dog never did that before. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, I've been practicing. Or then you just get down on yourself because you weren't practicing and ta-da, your dog doesn't show that it knows shit. Now you're embarrassed. Now your dog friends are looking at you. Yep. Then a judge decides to tell you how they feel about you and like a bullet. So anyway, that's what dog training's like. Goes real smoothly. You start to feel really good. Then you start to question yourself. Then you come back and you're like, I did it. Then you have dreams about it. And when you're a dog trainer, you go out there and you're daring enough to compete. It's a lot to put yourself out there. So that's why I always say, if anybody does anything, rally, AKC obedience, certainly Schutzen, like that was such the holy grail when I started dog training. It just takes so much work and effort and time, and it's really not a hobby. It's your entire life. So it's really a lot to put yourselves out there. So if anyone gets discouraged, don't be discouraged. And even when my customers can't figure something out right away, this is my pep talk. This is my TED talk. We've been there too on a different scale. Like I never look at my parents and I'm like, oh, you're so stupid. Why can't you get this? I never think that because I've been in the same situation as you with people laughing at me. Or when I first started dog training, I didn't know what the hell I was doing as I watched my dog gallop across a picnic table. I was there too. Anyway, that's that. So we're doing really good. And I've really been keeping my paces and we've been trying. And I, like I said, have been through every phase with creating drive, then making too much drive, then having him think that he can celebrate and run around and not come directly back. So we had to work on that. And it's a lot, like you send your dog over jumps and he has to retrieve a dumbbell and come up and basically like just stand in front of you staring lovingly into your eyes as he holds this dumbbell. And then you send them with either a hand signal or a verbal command. It's a lot of stuff, but you're sending your dog out there. They're out there. You can't do anything once they're out there. You're screwed. Your dog could have a hot party all by himself, or he could do everything that you trained him to do. So you require your dog to do, like 50 steps. And then they come back to you. You're like leaving them out there by themselves, just pushing the bird right out of the nest, if you will.
It's hard. Like advanced training is really hard because average pet dog owners, right? They have expectations that the dog is not going to potty inside the house, that they're not going to destroy furniture, that they're not going to do a lot of things. That's no is the reason why people call a dog trainer when they have a dog that's acting unruly. Yes is the reason why dog trainers enjoy training dogs, right? Then by yes, I mean teaching the dog actually how to do something. So figuring out like, how does this dog learn? What motivates this dog to do something? How can I harness that motivation in order to teach them a behavior that I want them to do? And that is really freaking hard. And even if you have a formula for the way you do it, I think what Laurie's trying to get at, or I'm just echoing what she's saying, is you have to make your formula change, because sometimes a dog's going to come around that challenges that formula. Like Ripa, your first Rottweiler that I knew when I first met you, she just picked everything up. She
just did everything.
She just picked, like if there was stuff on the ground and you literally said, go get that thing. And you could say it just like that. There was no like,
get it,
fetch. There was no get it. Like it was like, Ripa, go get that.
You spoke to her like a human.
Exactly. And she would walk over, and then if she picked up something and you were like, no, not that one, the other one, she would drop it and get the other one. And she was amazing, and she just did that. And then Buddha, if you ask him to pick up a bowl, turns it upside down on the ground and then starts playing hockey with
like
it.
Like a skateboard. Oh my God. It's so painful. The whole scene.
So it's like your whole mentality about how to train him was totally different.
Yeah. He needed a step-by-step, color by number. He's probably more like me than Ripa ever was. Ripa's like, I got this, girl. You just need to follow the schedule I made you. And Buddha's like, I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need an Excel spreadsheet on this one.
Yeah. Well, and now that I have Raven, it's like I tried to do a trained retrieve with Ruben where I tried to like capture the hold, with the PVC pipe and with other things. And he just did not. I tried everything and he just couldn't do it. And I was like, it must be a problem with me. I'm sure another trainer would be able to do this. And I could see him getting stressed. Like, even though I was using the clicker and food, it was just like him having that in his mouth on my accord was just, and we weren't playing with it. Like, that technique just did not work with him at all, And then with Raven, it's like I start doing it and she has a little trouble. And then I think in my head, oh, this is never going to work because didn't work with Ruben. And then I pull her out of the crate the next day and she's doing it.
Yeah, she has a quick turnover.
Exactly. And it's like, and then I was talking to another trainer friend and we were just commiserating because we have 2 rescue dogs and, with trying to teach behaviors. And it's okay. Like, if you're a trainer and you have a rescue dog that just can't learn how to do, a stand I'm not saying don't try. I'm just saying don't bang your head against the wall if you're trying to teach something super specific that's specific to an obedience routine. If your dog's not picking up on it real quick, because it might not be your fault. Like with Raven, for example, I thought that it was my fault, the way that I was trying to shape the hold, I was screwing up somehow with Ruben. And maybe I was, though I tried a lot of different things. And with her, it's like I tried a couple things and she just naturally is better at it. So it was just easier to teach that. And she really enjoys doing it. And it's just so different. But anyway, yeah, trying to teach the dog how to do something versus trying to keep the dog from getting into quote unquote trouble are the 2 spheres of dog training. And they're very different, I guess, is where I'm trying to go with that.
I just I'm sure somebody could say, well, there's no way this dog can learn to stand. There's no, there's 1,000 ways to get to a certain behavior. That PVC pipe, that did nothing for me with Buddha. It just irritated me more. For holding, I started just running for my life. So Pat says, well, once he gets a hold of it, because I had a hold on it. I had a hold at that point. I may have had some chewy behavior, mouthing and rolling the dumbbell, but I still had him holding it. And then I would run outside all around the yard while he was holding it in his mouth and chasing me. Thank God I have a good relationship with him, because he's like, oh, I'll follow mom anywhere. So he's, I would start running and he would start chasing me, and that's how I would get duration on the hold. And then I started to, I had even to get the dumbbell, I put strings on this thing on either side. I started to tug a little bit either side of the dumbbell with these strings, because God, good old Buddha, you can always count on him if you want to take. He outs beautifully, but if he feels a little tug, he's like, no, now I'll bear down. He doesn't want to lose it from his mouth. If I don't say the command, then he won't let it go, but he didn't want to mouth it anymore. He wanted to hold tighter. Then the other thing that worked besides my running and then the lines on the dumbbell was petting him. Holy moly, did that work. He was sitting in front of me to the point where then I could take position and stand really straight in front of him with my hands down by my side. But petting him and him holding that dumbbell just the way he holds his coveted stuffed animals, he just sat there and held it forever. And that's how I got the hold.
Yeah.
For any trainers.
And how
listening.
long have you been working on this?
Oh my God, 2 years. No lie, a year and a half at least. And I know it's so stupid, but this has been going on forever to get it.
And what happened when you tried to force it?
No.
Remember you went to a seminar and the guy was like, I've done this 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, I was watching, so I was like, oh, this is a me problem, right? Because just like I said, if there's 1,000,000 trainers that could be listening to us saying, of course your dog can do this, you're just not skilled enough to get the behavior, right? That's a fair assessment. Somebody would say that.
Yeah,
no, your
absolutely.
dog can do it, whatever. So I said, all right, here we go. And I have the dumbbell. And I do not add a lot of correction in Buddha's training at all if I can avoid it. I have done a manual correction here and there. But I try to stay away from it, and I do use prong collars, and I don't use e-collar. Just 'cause I think Buddha I think he works great like this. I'm careful to apply any pressure that would make him be defensive or shut down and not want to work with me. So he's like, well, how you been teaching the dumbbell, this person at the seminar? And I said, well, I've been putting the dumbbell on a rope and like capitalizing on prey drive and making it, like the stuffed animal, the dead animal, whatever, or the animal that's like, I would drag it across the floor for him to get interested in it, and then he'd grab it. I'm doing all these hand motions that you people can't see. So then I was able to pique his interest for him to hold it, and I was essentially making the dumbbell a toy, which is not
no.
Which is a no.
Oh, it's such a no, Lori.
Because
making
it's
that
all
dumbbell
business.
A toy.
The dumbbell has to be.
It's a job.
If he didn't hold the dumbbell, he wouldn't get dinner. Like I would have him hold the dumbbell, and then he could get dinner. So he's like, no, you're not supposed to do that. The dumbbell is a chore, and then everything else is the reward. And well, that's all well and good, but if that's the case, well, I already fucked it up because I was trying to get the dog interested in the dumbbell. So one would say, well, did you mess it up? I got him interested in it. So then this whole scene before me, he tried a few things that I was fine with. Maybe like holding the leash, or what it came down to is this guy almost started wrestling with Buddha with the dumbbell in his mouth. And Buddha's like, yeah, let's do it. He's like, he's just like a frat boy. And he's like, you want to play with the dumbbell? And so when the guy kind of was like almost playing tug with the dumbbell. And I was like, well, this could go sideways fast, right? This dog's never going to out the dumbbell. He's, because you have to have your dog out when you say, and when you place your hands in front of you for the dog to give it to you. So anyway, you could tell this guy was really struggling. He was like, Buddha was not doing what other dogs do. And so we went through it, and he was playing with Buddha, and we ended on a positive note, but he came to me after I had put Buddha in the car. He said, 1 million dogs I trained this way. Yours is the 1 in the million. And I was like, that makes me feel so much better. So then from that point on, I like every little incident I've had with the dumbbell has strengthened it, but I did have a bit of avoidance after that, but I still believe that it helped. I thought it was maybe a little too, it was bordering on the line of correction.
He was trying to force fetch the dumbbell. That's what he was doing.
It didn't work.
And it didn't work.
It didn't
That's
work.
the bottom line.
And I was careful with how, like, I was comfortable with what was happening and not thinking that, but I mean, we saw what was happening and we had ended it. Right away, we like switched gears and got him to like it again. That might have been a moment where, because I found myself I saw a little bit of avoidance in Buddha, and I had to put the dumbbell down for a long time.
Yeah.
So we tried to, and then, feed. I would sit in a chair and just have Buddha sit right close to me. It was a long road anyways, what we're getting at. Sorry if I'm boring the hell out of anyone.
No, this is good stuff. It's actual dog training stuff. We never talk about dog training stuff because it's so hard to talk about on the podcast. And you also feel like you're going to get judged. There are people out there that are very judgy when it comes to dog training and training techniques. They think, and I've heard more and more people refer to dog training as an art form. And as somebody that is a musician and understands when you hit something special in music, for example, when you create something or everything kind of comes together and you're just like, this is it. I never thought dog training would fit into that category of, oh, this is it. I just landed on this, like everything worked, like the way the dog was moving, the way I was moving, the way they're understanding the commands, the way that I was able to get this number of repetitions and build off of those quality repetitions to get to where I am with this particular dog, with this particular personality. It's like, it is an art form for those people that enjoy it that much. I feel like there's also a very rote technical way of doing everything. And I think anybody that's listening to this will understand it if they, really respect dog training, can understand both sides where, some people are constantly going to have to be changing their techniques because they're always working with different dogs, right? Like a Schutzen trainer is working with Schutzen dogs. Like we work with a ton of different pet quality, working quality dogs. It's like, so it's like my position is like, do whatever works for the dog. Whereas if you go to a retriever trainer, they're going to have a more systematic approach because they train retrievers, and so I can see how the more specific you get, the less artistic you have to be when it comes to problem solving. But I mean, even the situation with Buddha, like, yeah, I've seen your progress over the past year because it was a year ago that you went to that seminar. I didn't go to it. Yeah, it's been like daily work. I mean, Lori's out there training him daily with this stuff. And it's not like spending hours doing it, but if you think about...
No, if I spent hours, he would
shut down. Any dog would.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Buddha,
10 minutes, 15
less
minutes.
is more with Big Boo.
Then you have to do it every day. That's the thing with dog training. You'd have to do it every day. You skip a day, it's like skipping a week.
But maybe parents would feel better knowing their training times can be shorter, guys.
Yeah.
To really, pet parents, you think that like you have to train forever and ever, or you have to have this like 1 hour set time. You don't. Put the dog in the crate, take him out, train a little bit, and go back in. What do you think Board and Train's doing? They're not keeping your dog out all day.
Yeah.
Your dog is in the crate, and they're doing like 6 to 10 little training sessions all day long. And when you start to look at it in small increments, you don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And, I think that's one major thing I always tell pet parents. They're like, well, how long should he be in the crate? And I'm like, as long as you need the dog to be in the crate. I mean, a young puppy, obviously, you don't want to leave in the crate for more than 2 hours if you're leaving. Like, go get your groceries and come back home, especially when you're bathroom training. But use the crate.
Absolutely. Today was the first day after Raven came in from training that I sat on the floor next to the couch, and she laid down next to me.
Because she doesn't lay down.
And I asked her to lay down. I put her in a down. I said,
okay.
Raven, down. And she laid down. And we stayed there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And she was so happy. But it was the first time. She's 9 months old this week. It is literally the first time I've actually chilled in a room with that dog. She doesn't like to be petted. So it's like, I can't just pet her. She doesn't like it. And when she's in the house, it's not that she's doing anything bad or destructive. She's just so busy, like bouncing off the walls, like has something in her mouth, inspecting the door, sniffing the floor, looking at the ceiling, air scenting, turning around, doing that all over again, coming over, licking the salt off of my leg. Like she
does figure eights with a toy in her mouth, and she does drive-bys.
Yeah.
So she'll like zip by you.
And she doesn't jump on the furniture. She doesn't jump on the counters. She doesn't chew things. She's not destructive. She doesn't have potty breaks. She's not bad. It's just that she's so busy. And that's the trade-offs, because everybody, when I bring her out at club, is like, where did you get this dog? She has such amazing drive. She's so talented. And I'm not saying that living with her is bad. It's not bad. Do I feel like I wish I could spend more lifetime with her? Yes, I do. I wish she was here right now. But that's just not who she is right now.
Meaning, like, if we're sitting here doing a podcast, she can hang out comfortably in this room. And she's just a busy dog, and
yep,
that's that.
What else you got there, Laura?
So that. So short training times, not getting discouraged.
Let's do one more thing. What do you got?
Well, it was kind of piggybacking off of the last podcast we did about fat dogs. People always ask us a feeding schedule, and we always feed in the morning and at night, and you pick the bowl up, guys, and we add water to the dog food, but we pick the bowl up. And people will say sometimes the dog doesn't eat all the food in the bowl, and then I'll say that's because you're not picking the bowl up. Or cut down. So if you're giving your dog a cup and a half in the morning and at night, just put a cup in there and see if your dog nails through it. So we feed morning and night. I had a dog I was taking care of. She usually only eats at night, but for some reason she was eating in the morning this time. So I just divvied up her food morning and night. That's it. pick the bowl up. Don't leave it down for your dog to eat all day. And if you want more food drive, so I think Buddha needs a cup and a half morning and night. I've only been feeding him a cup and he is hungry and he is working really well for me. So keep that in mind. If you're training a puppy, reserve some of the food for training. And I really like these vitamins. I didn't taste them myself, but I've been adding the multivitamin and joint supplement from what company, Leah?
From Alpha Dog Nutrition.
Alpha Dog Nutrition.
Yep.
So we use those vitamins or those supplements, sorry. And I think that's it, because somebody had asked me that question.
Yeah, and I was listening to a talk that the Retriever Roadmap group had a talk with one of the developers of Eukanuba dog food, and I was able to listen in, and she made some really good points about like DHA. It's like a chemical that's linked to brain health and development and functionality, and there is some data that suggests that feeding your dog before training or work is better for their brain function. So again, in the retriever world, it's very popular to just feed your dog once a day at night, so they get their whole bolus of food at once when they're rested, because a lot of times your day starts rather early if you're training or you're hunting or whatever. So after the dog potties and whatnot, like there's not much time in between that and like hitting the road. So the food doesn't come until later in the day. But basically, there's some data that is pushing back against that idea, and feeding twice a day or at least a little bit in the morning is a good practice.
I feed a little bit in the morning before we compete.
Yeah.
I used to not, and now I do, because we started doing so many runs a day. It's not like we were going to do one thing and then I could give him a bowl of food. Yeah. So I just made sure he had some energy in him, and then I made sure he had some food drive by feeding him like half a cup of food, which is nothing.
Yeah.
So that was that. The other thing was, do you want to change subject?
No, not at all.
I'm done.
Oh, okay. What was the other thing?
Electric fences.
What about them?
People always ask, what's your opinion on an electric fence? And I'm like, well, I hate them, and I prefer a solid fence over anything, because then your dog can't see over things. And I prefer a tall fence so that I don't teach my dog how to jump short fences. And I don't like picket fences. I like solid, good. What is that? What is it?
Privacy fence.
Yeah, it's privacy fence, but good fences make good neighbors.
Yeah, something
Robert
like that.
Frost.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
Good fences make good neighbors. And so I like that my dog's vision is blocked from stimuli going by, so that I don't have a dog who practices chasing people walking on the sidewalk. So what happens with electric fences, I usually suggest to people that if you can, keep the electric fence in the back of the house where the dog can't see the front, so they can't see the passerbys, because then they're running the front line back and forth as people walk by with their dogs. A lot of the times people feel, I think it's a false sense of security, because things can still enter your yard. So things can still enter your yard. Other dogs can still enter your yard. If your dog has enough stimulation, they can blow through the fence, which is what my neighbor's dog did the other day. And I was running, and I hate running. I mean, I will walk. I will do stairs. I will do any exercise. I hate running. I was running. I was Forrest Gumping this all the way down the hill, down to the end of the street. 3 cars missed him. Thank God that guy who walks in the neighborhood with his 2 aggressive dogs wasn't walking around. And thankfully, that dog knew me from when he was a puppy. And when he stopped, I was able to get him, because I said, "You're a good boy. Come here." I mean, I wanted to kill him because I couldn't breathe.
Well, the anxiety is enough to kill anybody.
Right. And I saw the 3 cars stop, and I was like, oh my God.
That's a nightmare.
And he dove into my arms. And I was like, where were you going though? And then some wonderful woman in a Tesla with a cockapoo hanging outside the window, barking like her life depended on it, gave me a leash.
Oh, that was nice.
It was really nice. And she followed me back, and then I gave her leash back. So woman in the Tesla with the very, 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 very long eyelashes. I thank you. I thank you. So yeah,
well,
they
that
can
brings
blow
up
through
a good point, because just because your dog is loose outside all the time doesn't mean that they are good off of the leash, right? So like, here's a dog that spends 70% of his day outside, and the first opportunity that he gets to literally run as fast as he can away from the house, he takes. Like, it's just so hard, because I never want to have that relationship with my dog where they are so quick without getting spooked. I mean, it's always possible that like a dog can get spooked and act strange, but I want my dog to want to hang around the house. You know what I mean? Like, our dogs, when we open the garage door, like, I'm not worried at all that they're going to take off and go down the hill, and we bring them to our cars with no leash. And that's actually a goal that I set for almost every single one of my clients that I have a new class with. I was like, my goal for you is to be able to walk to your car with your dog and have your dog get in with no leash and without you worrying that your dog's going to run away from you, and to come back home and get out of the car and go back inside your house with no leash and not worry about your dog, that your dog's gonna run away from you. If you can do that with your dog, I'm sorry, sky's the limit.
Your dog
because they want to hang
you.
around with you. They like you and they respect you. And there was, and if you said, hey, get out of there, if they went over to your neighbor's garbage and sniffed in it, and you said, come on, let's go, they come off the garbage and come right back into your house. Like, if you can do that with your dog, you're good. But if you have to like bear hug your dog when you get out of the car, grab with the full fist on the collar to make sure that they don't run away from you, like, I don't want to live like that. And a lot of people are living like that with their dogs, and it's not safe, and it's not fun. Like, how you're not having any fun with them, you're just worried all the time that something bad's going to happen.
Yeah. So like I said, the electric fence, thank God nothing happened to that dog. I just don't know what I would do if anything happened to a dog that.
Were you podcasting from the mental ward?
I know. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I already have rubber floors, so. But so yeah, the electric, and there's like a level of frustration built here. These dogs are sitting out on the porch all day, and they're like, oh, they're going to be so tired. I'm like, yeah, they're tired from being complete assholes all day. All day. The same with the dog that sits in the bay window and watches the world passing by. And just that moment when I get free, oh, what a world it will be. When I can finally get that rabbit that I watch all day long, and my dad says, oh, is that a rabbit? Oh, I just want to stab them all. I can't. You're like, you build interest to everything but you. You're like, there's a rabbit, instead of like, hey, did you see this like dead animal I have in my pocket on a string that I'm going to play with this stuffed animal with you, or I'm going to spend time with you, or we're going to do this? No. Instead, I leave you outside in the yard, and then I get pissed off when you're digging holes in the yard all day. It's because they're bored. So they're filling their time. They're filling their time by trying to, make a plan to kill any kind of postal service worker,
Amazon
FedEx,
driver.
Amazon. They start to bark, and then if it's a dog who's like a little soft, who gets a real kick out of one bark, and then the person gets scared and they back off, and then the dog continues to bark. Like, we're practicing this terrible behavior where this dog is learning that he can scare people with his bark and they go away. Or they're so bored in the yard that when a person comes by, they're jumping and leaping on them. And I just don't think people should have to deal with that. I'm a dog person, and when I walk into somebody's house and a dog like jumps up and rakes their nails down my body, I don't like that dog. I like dogs, but I don't like dogs just all over me or diving in between my legs.
A dog jumped on the Element one time and you freaked.
I was
and the owner was like, but you're a dog person.
Yeah, but I'm also waxing my little Honda Element all the time and cleaning it. So no, your dog doesn't have a right to ruin my property.
Yeah.
Pissed off. I was pissed. Being a dog person doesn't mean that I'm sloppy. I have the highest level of OCD you've ever seen. But you could eat off the floor of my Element when I owned it.
But I do feel like that's a common misconception. It's like, oh, you're a dog person. You must love playing with dogs all day. You must love when dogs jump on you.
I don't make out with them either.
Dogs kiss you and like all this stuff. It's like, no, I don't even let my own dogs do that. Like, it's just this misconception about, I remember you telling me that, like, about how the woman was like, but you're a dog trainer. And you're like, yeah. so this is still my car. And like, if a dog jumps on a vehicle, it can really screw up your paint job. I mean, it can get
you're getting your car keyed.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then people who like let the dog walk up and then put their paws on the window. I am not the only person who cares about their car. There are other people. So don't do that. Don't be rude. Dog etiquette, people. Get your dog. Your dog cannot run up and jump on people. They're too fragile these days.
But I think it's so funny. Like if you yell or if you try to get the dog not to do that, or you say to the owner like, "Hey, this isn't cool," somehow you're being mean to an animal.
Oh, and then I've got yelled at. Somebody, I was like, "Hey," and they're like, "Don't yell at my dog." I'm like, "Your dog just jumped on my car."
That's where we're at right now. That's the state of things. Don't be mean to an animal.
I didn't touch him.
Even though the animal destroys property.
I just yelled to get off.
It's like, yeah, if you got a raccoon in your gutters ruining your entire house, you are going to get rid of that thing as soon as possible. Like, but I'm not saying like I'm mean to dogs that do stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just like, I had an incident like that at the field where a dog pissed on my bag and I yelled at the woman and the lady like freaked out on me, said that I was trying to hit her dog. But really it was just like, I yelled at her because her dog was so misbehaved that was like the turnaround. So she's like way out in the field. Yeah. She's nowhere near the dog. Exactly. The dog is now up on you, which that sucks, loose, guys. But it busted out of a collar.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
it busted out of a collar.
Yeah, but she wasn't running.
No, like, she was standing on the other side of the field because I was like, because I yelled at her, I'm like, your dog just pissed all over my stuff. Come get your dog. Right. And I was like holding him like away from my stuff, and she was like, "Don't hit my dog. I'm calling the cops." Blah 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 blah. And in the meantime, like I let the dog go because I was like, "Screw this lady. She's out of her mind." But it was like no responsibility for. This is my dog. I'm responsible for what this dog does. You're the one that's being mean to this dog. But if we took a different perspective, and if somebody gets bitten by a dog, so like if I'm walking a dog and that dog bites somebody, who is the person who's going to get bit going to come after? Me, the person that was handling the dog. And if they sue me, they're going to win because I'm responsible for that dog. That's the reason why also dog walkers have insurance. I think it's so funny when a person will ask like, "Oh, like a client, like, do you have insurance?" And I'm like, "Yep, I have insurance. So that if your dog does anything stupid, like my butt is going to be covered. It has nothing to do with you. Like this dog can get lost, maimed, anything, and then like nothing is going to happen." It's like, but if he does something to somebody else's property or to another person, that's where all the problems happen. So like if a dog destroys somebody's property, or if they jump on you, or if they scratch you, like all that stuff is no big deal. But like if a dog bites you, then all of a sudden the handler is now responsible. It's like, no, you're responsible for everything your dog does. And of course they're dogs and like nothing's going to be perfect all the time. And like stuff is going to happen. It freaking happens, you know, like it happens to me, it happens to Lori, it happens to our friends. Like it like stuff happens, but we have to be okay with taking responsibility for that. Like, yes, every time my dog jumps on a car, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is my phone number. If you need to get fixed, let me know. Yeah, instead, it's like, don't yell at my dog.
I know. It's
insane.
When something has happened between dog or dog person, I have immediately taken responsibility. I will dream about it. I have nightmares about it. I will fix it. Something happens, I will fix it, and I am sorry. There are so many times now that somebody handling their dog will let them run up on you, not run to get their dog either. They stand far away, as that woman did in the field that day. Not, thankfully we have, a solid dog. Ruben was solid. He didn't care about the other dog. And, if it was different, maybe a dog fight could have broke out. And you know who would have been blamed? Leah and Ruben. Not this lady screaming from across the field. Like, if you see your dog, run, fix it.
Or imagine this, right? So that situation happens. I'm with Ruben. Dog gets loose. No recall. Comes over, pisses on my bag. I pull out a gun. I hold the gun to the dog and I say, call your dog or I'm going to shoot your dog. Then that lady would need to have a recall on her dog.
Well, I mean.
But that's what I'm saying. People are crazy. So let's say your dog runs up on somebody that's nuts, right? And they do something like that and you don't have control over your dog.
I know.
I know. Okay, I'll give you a real example. Obviously, that's not a real example. This Basenji is in the woods at Whipple Hill and he's not trained. So the other day, he's with me. Like, he comes with my pack. The owner is way behind me. So I just put a leash on him and started walking with him. And I started walking like up this really steep hill. And the woman was not really in shape. So she was like behind me. And all of a sudden I hear her go, hey, excuse me. And I'm like acting like I can't hear her, you know what I mean? I'm like heading towards the crest of the hill.
I have never heard this story.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. And this was like I told Jamie this story last Tuesday, so I think it happened on Monday. I'm like, oh, is this your dog? I wasn't sure, so I just slapped a leash on him because I didn't see anybody around. Like, I could have taken that dog and just walked right out of the woods. If I had like picked up my pace and walked really fast, gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course I would never do that. But like, the point is, if you don't have control over your dogs and another person is out there and they're crazy, or they want to take your dog, or they don't want your dog anywhere near them, if you don't have control, what are you going to do to help that situation? Like, you have no control. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, if I was crazy and I wanted to just like knife every dog that came upon me in the woods, I hate to say it, but a lot of owners wouldn't know what the heck happened because they're nowhere to be found.
I have come across people that have canes and sticks.
Oh, yeah.
And I did have one guy who, I've had very embarrassing moments with my dog. My lab Bella, she went diving down a hill and knocked into an old woman. I was fucking horrified. Just in case you don't think I've had any of these incidents, and then, you learn to be a better trainer. And then another time I had a lab on. I had a lab. I was walking on a leash, and he was walking with me. He turned his head towards this man. He said, if that dog comes any closer, I'm going to hit him with this stick.
There you go.
And I said, sir, I promise you he won't. And as you can see, I have a loose leash and I am now walking by you. But there are people that just don't take pity on. They just don't care about dogs. I mean, I've had plenty of those incidences. So anyway, we got on this because of electric fences, and it's really because we went on a tangent.
Well, I think that it's because electric fences don't train your dog, and our whole thing is train your dog so you can hang out with them and have fun. And if you're out in public, it's even more important to train your dog because there's crazy people out there. I am going to say, I just want to make clear, I'm not a crazy person. If I get run up on by a dog, I'm just like, whatever, it's a dog.
Leah's much more chill about it than I ever would be.
And there's reasons for that. I choose my clients, and my client dogs can get run up on by other dogs because I have to be able to walk friendly dogs because we get run up on all the time when we're in the woods. It's an unfortunate reality. But the dogs that I walk have a really high threshold for strange dogs. And we actually train for it when I'm in the woods. Like, I teach them how to move along. I'm not going to be able to get into it now, but my dogs are really good at just like being like sup from a short distance and moving on. And like, I'm going to say it, I'm not jinxing myself or anything like that, but I don't have accidents happen very often when it comes to off-leash stuff, because I do believe that it's because the dogs I choose to walk, they can handle it when another dog runs up on them. And I don't yell at people anymore. I don't say anything. I just move along because at this point I can just lead by example. I just want to I want to show other people what trained dogs look like, and I get complimented almost on a daily basis.
Well, it's discouraging too because other people don't care.
Yeah, but
when you say something,
and I get most people will just be like, "Oh my God, do you see how well behaved they are?" When I'm like pulled over or when I'm passing by and I'm not letting the dogs interact, and that's the best I can do. I can lead by example. But getting into a fight with somebody in the woods when there's nobody around, I actually had a scary situation happen a few weeks ago where a mountain biker passed me, and I had Heidi and Hamish, and they're just like so freaked out by everything. And he was like, on your left, but he came by, he like went by really fast. And I was like, hey man, slow down around the dogs. And then I saw him turn around, and I was like, fuck. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So I pulled over, and he was like, hey, I just wanted to say sorry. I was riding too fast past you. And I'm like, oh, no worries. Like, have a great ride, and like moved along. It was like the nicest episode that I've ever had in the woods. Yeah. It was just so sweet. But there was a moment where like my stomach just turned over because I was just like, ugh. I said it so flippantly because I was just annoyed that he just let me know he was coming behind me, but I had barely gathered their leashes before he
couldn't pull it together,
blew past. And it really freaks out the dogs. Like if you bike, like just you have to slow down. Like we're not racing when we're in the woods. If you're doing a workout, it's not going to kill you to slow down for like 10 pedal strokes. Like really slow down around the dogs. I mean, there are some dogs that are super freaked out by bikes, and when you're going really fast on a narrow trail, it can really freak the dogs out. And also, if a dog like likes to chase a bike, the faster you're going when you go by, boom, they're like in chase mode once you do go by. And then, you know, I've been chased on a bike before by dogs in the woods, and it is like no fun. So anyway, that was a kind of a nice experience I had. I don't think I told you that one either.
Yeah, that one I knew. Okay. I didn't know about you trying to take some woman's dog.
Oh, the Basenji lady? Yeah. That's ladies, and she's an idiot. I see her all the time, and I was like, I could steal this dog if I wanted to. Like literally, I could just put a leash on him and be gone.
Yep.
Anyway. So
here's the deal. Electric fences. I like them in the back. In conclusion, I like them in the back of the house so that the dog can't practice chasing people. Know that your dog is going to develop those habits like barking, chasing animals, bunnies, rabbits. We're fine on our walk in the neighborhood, but then he sees a rabbit. Well, he's been chasing rabbits in the yard all day. So chasing rabbits, digging holes, and barking at people. An electric fence will not stop those behaviors. But, So, and then I said I like the high, like 6-foot white privacy fences. If you have chain link fence, which is a little less expensive, then there's privacy screens that they sell on Amazon. I recommend them. I love them. They don't look tacky. Love them. So if you have chain link fence, use your privacy screen, tall privacy fencing, electric if you have to. I keep it in the back. If your dog is going to get hit by a car because they run out the front door and the kids are not closing the door or nobody cares, then I prefer an electric fence over roadkill. So one of my customers, this awesome dog, Louie, I freaking love this dog. He was a Havanese. He went everywhere with us. Melissa knows Louie. He was off leash with me from the car to the field. We used to go everywhere together. Off leash, Horn Pond, off leash. One day, I go to pick up Louie, and he's in the bay window. And I remember saying to the mom, is that where he stays? And she said, oh, yes. Isn't it so cute? He sits at the window. And I was like, to me right away, I'm like, no, it's not cute because I don't know. I'm not negative, but what the hell? So it went through my head, and Louie, in short, during the kids' pickup time by the bus, got out the front door and got hit by a car, and he was chasing a bunny that he watched every day from his front window. It builds so much frustration that when the dog finally gets out, and his drive for that was so high that he didn't recall. I wasn't even anywhere near the house, and here I am going through scenarios in my head. What if I was just there? What if I was there and I called Louie and he came when I called him? But the fact of the matter is, she got an electric fence in the front of her yard. She still doesn't let the dog out if she's not out. But it does safeguard against kids opening the door. So if it's between roadkill and an electric fence, then get the electric fence.
For sure.
Just know that there are behaviors that are going to develop, but you shouldn't get frustrated because you sign up for them when you leave your dog to entertain themselves. Deal? So that's how the electric fence goes. That's how I feel about that. That's it, and that's all.
That's it, and that's all. For those of you who have been watching Fubar on Netflix.
Fubar.
With Arnold.
I'll be back.
Man still got it.
I love that fella.
He just still has such a great, it's so many great one-liners.
What's the name of his, is it just Arnold? His documentary on Netflix now?
Yeah, I recommend. Good guy. Anywho, thank you so much for listening to the show, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone. After I mother